Welcome back to the 17 News at Sunrise podcast, where we share your news on your schedule.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
Good morning. Right now at 5, it's been 3 weeks since a regional stay-at-home order was issued for Kern and the rest of the San Joaquin region. It was supposed to expire yesterday, but we'll soon find out if that will be extended. And just how big will your newest COVID stimulus check be? The president wants $2,000 payments passed by the House, but will the Senate get on board? And the latest from California City, where the search for 2 missing boys is getting more desperate by the day. This is Tuesday, December 29th, 2020. Good morning, 5 a.m. Good to have you with us. I'm Maddie Jansen, anchoring from here at home. Taylor Schaub is holding down the fort in studio. What a different morning we're waking up to today after that storm finally cleared out late yesterday, Taylor.
Absolutely, Maddie. You had snow sticking to the grapevine yesterday. I know they did kind of a great job moving traffic along, but today, Kevin, a lot clearer up in the mountains.
Yeah, it is a lot clearer up in the mountains. We may see a little bit of ice in some of those higher elevations, so keep that in mind. Frazier Park and Pine Mountain Club are the winners in terms of the snow amounts. I want to show you a beautiful picture. We get these whenever these storms kind of roll on in here, and this is Alta Sierras. They picked up some snow as well. Sherry Bryan sending that in. As we take a look at the satellite and radar right now, we still have some clouds, but the moisture has moved out. Not looking at any rain today. Out at Meadows Field, picked up just under 3/10 of an inch, about a quarter of an inch out at our studios, 0.22 in my rain gauge here at home. Delano, Arvin, and Taft right around 0.15 of an inch. Tehachapi about a quarter of an inch there. And then you can see out in the Mojave Desert, they also picked up about a quarter and 0.42 out in Roseman. So some good amounts. And when we take a look at Bakersfield rain for the month of December, 0.31 now. So we are still down. We should be just under an inch for this time of year. So 0.60 is where we're our deficit. So bring on more rain. 45 degrees in Bakersfield right now. No winds to talk about. Hour by hour, we're expecting the 50s this afternoon, so a nice climb. And then as we take a look at Tehachapi, 36 right now, west-northwest wind at 7, light breeze throughout the day, and then temperatures will be in the lower 40s, so still a relatively cool day up into the mountains. We are still looking at a nice ring to the new year, but another storm could bring some good rain our direction. We'll talk more about that coming up in a bit.
Thanks, Kevin. We begin this morning with the latest on the coronavirus pandemic here in Kern County and a major spike in new deaths. Yesterday, Kern Public Health reported 16 new cases and 1,716 new cases. That brings our total number of cases in the area to more than 66,000. More than 32,000 people are isolating at home with an active case of the virus. That's nearly half the total number of people infected. A record 384 people are in the hospital with more severe symptoms. That's an increase of 18 since the state's last update over last weekend. So far, 502 people have died from COVID-19 here at home. And a reminder, those 16 new deaths actually happened over the past few weeks, but they were confirmed yesterday. And across California, the numbers are also reflecting a surge. State officials say that the state's 7-day average comes out to more than 37,000 cases per day. In total, California has had more than 2 million confirmed cases and more than 24,000 deaths. State medical experts warn that hospitalizations could soon double in the next several weeks. The state says available ICU capacity is down to 0% for both the Southern California and San Joaquin Valley regions. The regional stay-at-home order was supposed to end for those regions yesterday, but the Governor Gavin Newsom says the order will probably remain in effect.
It is clear and understandable that it's likely those stay-at-home orders will be extended. But again, based upon the data, that determination will be made.
The stay-at-home order requires regions to have ICU capacity protections to be above or equal to 15%. In Los Angeles County alone, officials estimate one person dies every 10 minutes from COVID-19. Health experts say the worst is expected to come in the next few weeks after Christmas and New Year's travelers return home. And today, California Health and Human Service Secretary Dr. Mark Ghaly will provide a update on the state's COVID-19 response. Dr. Ghaly is expected to announce an extension of the San Joaquin Valley's stay-at-home order. Tune in to 17 News at noon for an update on the conference and the latest on COVID-19 here in Kern County.
One of the major health consequences of the COVID-19 pandemic is people's mental health as they struggle with the effects of isolation and financial troubles. If you're dealing with stress, worries, or other concerns related to the pandemic, you can call the Mental Health and Wellness Hotline, launched by the Kern County Latino COVID-19 Task Force. You can speak with experts who can provide helpful information and resources. The number is 525-5900, and experts are available in both English and Spanish, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. On the vaccine front, a glimmer of hope for the first responders yesterday, as Hall Ambulance says it started offering the COVID-19 vaccine to its staff. Emergency medical technicians, paramedics, and RNs who have direct contact with patients were given the vaccine. The company says the vaccine's also been made available to those involved in the decontaminating the ambulances after transporting a patient who tested positive. In the next week, Hall Ambulance says it expects to get authorization to provide the vaccine to its frontline employees in-house.
Comes as the CDC has issued no COVID-19 vaccine guidances for people with underlying health conditions. The agency says these adults can get a vaccine when it becomes available if they do not have a history of severe allergic reaction to any of its ingredients. People with weakened immune systems can also receive a vaccine, but should be aware that it has not been thoroughly tested on these patients. Most importantly, the statements urge people to continue following safety measures like social distancing and wearing masks, even after they're vaccinated. The CDC also says vaccinated people should still follow quarantine protocol after a potential exposure to the virus. And now that the coronavirus vaccines are starting to roll out in the U.S. and abroad, many people are dreaming of the day when they can travel, shop, and go to the movies again. But in order to do those activities, you may eventually need something in addition to a vaccine passport application. Several companies and technology groups have begun developing smartphone apps or systems for individuals to upload their details of their COVID-19 tests and vaccinations, creating digital credentials that could be shown in order to enter concert venues, stadiums, movie theaters, offices, and even other countries. And with COVID-19 cases exploding across the state and in Kern County, public health experts are especially concerned about outbreaks at skilled nursing facilities. One facility in particular has set a very bad record of infection control. Join us today at 17 News at 5 as 17's Alex Fisher examines the past issues and discusses the new concerns in a special report. The Kern County Sheriff's Office is investigating the death of an inmate at the Lardo jail this weekend. The department said around 4:40 p.m. on Saturday, detention deputies learned that a 23-year-old female inmate was having a medical emergency. Despite attempts to save her life, KCSO says the inmate was pronounced dead at the scene. Detectives were called out to investigate the case, but this time the department says there is no suspicion of foul play. And in more news here at home, another person in Kern County has been infected with West Nile virus. Public health officials announced that they diagnosed the 6th case of the virus this year. There are over 170 human cases across California in 22 counties. Officials say that more than 7,000 cases of West Nile and 300 deaths have been reported since 2003. It spreads mainly through mosquito bites, and experts say that you should wear sleeves, pants, and repellent to avoid being bitten.
KGET Business Watch is brought to you by Grapevine MSP Technology Services, the Valley's leading IT service provider.
Welcome back in your 17 Business Watch now. Little Debbie and Kellogg made a splash back in September with the announcement of a new cereal, and now it's finally here. Little Debbie Oatmeal Cream Pie cereal is now on grocery store shelves nationwide. The collaboration with Kellogg resulted in a crispy oatmeal cookie flavored cereal with a creamy coating reminiscent of those Little Debbie favorites. The cereal is hitting store shelves just in time for the original Little Debbie Snack Cake's 60th anniversary. And Walt Disney World is getting ready to unveil Remy's Ratatouille adventure at Epcot. And Emily Jacobson, who created a viral video singing along about Remy, got a sneak peek of the new attraction this past weekend. The new experience will invite guests to shrink down to the size of a rat for a culinary adventure with Chef Remy racing across Gusteau's kitchen floor. Disney cameras were there to capture Jacobson's reaction during and after her special tour. The new attraction will debut at Epcot in 2021.
Hard to believe, but tax season will be here before we know it, and that means it's time to maximize your deductions before the clock strikes 12 on New Year's Eve. NBC's Dan Cheneman has the story.
Anyone making a list and checking it twice may want to add a charity.
There's never been a more important year to give than 2020, and there are so many organizations in need, but you can do it and give and lower your taxes in the process.
Those tax advantages can be substantial, according to Caleb Silver of Investopedia.
IRS imposes caps on the total value of the charitable contributions that may be deductible for a taxpayer of around 50%. Sometimes it's a little bit more, sometimes it's a little bit under, but it has to be to a qualifying charitable organization under Section 170C of the Internal Revenue Code.
Along with cash, Silver says it's often a good idea to donate stocks and other investment products.
If you've got capital gains on that stock and you've held it for a long time, by donating it, you reduce the capital gains taxes you might have to pay if you kept it and sold it.
And instead of trading in that old car, it could be donated.
You can get a tax write-off for donating your car if your car is worth more than $500.
Silver stresses it's important to keep good records for tax purposes.
Many of the online tax businesses and even your online broker has a way of tracking your charitable donations so you can see how much you've given and how much it's going to offset the income taxes you're going to have to pay for the end of the year.
A chance to help others and yourself. Dan Cheneman, NBC News.
Making news around the nation this morning, a big rebuke for President Trump in the House of Representatives, and a showdown now looming in the Senate over how big your coronavirus stimulus checks will be. NBC's Chris Pallone is in Washington, and he has it all covered.
Hi there, Maddie. The House of Representatives has voted to override a Trump veto for the first time in his presidency over a key military spending bill. The question is, will Senate Republicans now back the bill or the president?
A bipartisan rebuke for President Trump.
The yeas are 322. The nays are 87.
More than a two-thirds House majority voting to override his veto of the National Defense Authorization Act. The first time it's happened during the Trump presidency. Mr. Trump said he vetoed the bill because it would allow for the renaming of military bases which now honor Confederate military leaders, and because it fails to strip liability protections from websites over what their users post.
The bill is passed.
The override followed a close vote in the House to increase coronavirus stimulus checks from $600 to $2,000, a move pushed by the president but backed by Democrats.
Do you support the $2,000 Yes.
This is not a stimulus. It is not. And it does nothing to help get people back to work.
It sets up a test for Republicans in the Senate who generally oppose increasing the stimulus checks.
I am telling Donald Trump, don't just talk about it, act. These Senate Republicans have followed you through thick and thin. Get them now to act and support the $2,000 checks.
But there's no guarantee Majority Leader Mitch McConnell will even bring the measure to the Senate floor for a vote.
Vermont Independent Senator Bernie Sanders says he will block any vote on the Defense Authorization Act veto override until the Senate takes up those increased stimulus checks. The current Congress ends on Sunday. In Washington, Chris Pallone, 17 News.
The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is a production of KGET and Nexstar Media Group. For more on all of the headlines in today's show, head to kget.com.